pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Mr. Cups? Here. Leo? Here. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Turkis? Here. And we have quorum.
We have the minutes to approve from our prior meeting. Everybody have a chance to read through them?
Yes. George, motion to approve. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. I would like to change the order of the items on the agenda. I'd like to move the review of the bills until the end of the meeting. Reason being is that there are some bills to be approved that are contingent on the discussions of the evening. So.
Okay.
Any comments from the audience on items that are not on today's agenda? Now is your time.
Briefly, our hiring process closed today at 5 o'clock. We have 10 applicants, so I'll be reviewing them tonight and then getting a hold of potentials for interviews over the next couple of weeks. So it's a tough market. I explained it before. I looked today. I posted ours on the 18th, and since then there's been 19 law enforcement jobs open in the state. So we're competing against a lot of people. So, but hopefully we'll have a good resolution to this. So thank you.
But 10 applications sounds pretty good.
It does, yes. So, and there's a couple really qualified ones. So hopefully we'll end up with somebody.
Did you get one from Christine?
I did not. Thank you.
Anyone else?
you.
Okay. Nicole?
I would like to make one request, is that we push the ferry license agreement to March 16th. Just joking.
Oh my God.
I just want to do that, all right.
I'm glad the chief of police is here.
We almost needed him.
All right, so the first item on the agenda, you guys are still on, is the Knights of Columbus Tootsie Roll Drive. So annually, the Knights of Columbus hosts a Tootsie Roll fundraising drive in the spring and autumn. This year, it will be on the weekend of April 17th and the weekend of October 9th. They are seeking to host their drive at 4 businesses listed in attached letter, which were Meyer Ace Hardware, Gurney's Bottle Shop, Keble Pharmacy, and the Harbor Springs IGA. They had requested to also stand on the city sidewalk at the northwest corner of State and Main Street, but from Josh Johnson here, you'll hear that they are no longer requesting that. So I'll let Josh present on behalf of.
Mr. Mayor, councilpersons, pleasure and honor to be here. Also, I have with me from our council, Robert Shaganaby and David Henning. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I've been a member of the Knights of Columbus for 28. Robert's been a member for over 40 years, and Dave's been a member for just around 4 years. Our function as an organization is we raise money. We are a nonprofit, 401c. We assist the individuals that have intellectual disabilities, and the monies that we have raised over the years has gone back to, some of it to the Harbor Springs school system, some of it to the Michigan Dyslexia chapter in our own city, and this last year we had provided money to the Pellston area school system for whatever their needs may be to assist those with the disabilities. As noted, I did forget to retract that we will not be requesting or asking to be able to stand in the right of way down in the corner of State and Main. So it would just be on personal property of businesses, of those owners that we've already talked to and that we've received permission from them to do so. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer.
No, but thank you for what you're doing.
Exactly. I know it's a good cause. I'm fine. And this is something you've done for a long time, so I don't see any reason not to support it. So we need a motion to...
Yes, I would take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B, is the Little Traverse Bay Foundation Ferry License Agreement. So as you know, we've been working on this for probably, at least from the city's perspective, 10, 11 months now. It's been pushing a year to get the ferry to come to Petoskey, between Petoskey and Harbor Springs. So I think council approved in concept the ferry to go forward several months ago, contingent on meeting certain stipulations. One was presenting a plan for the ferry dock, building a design plan for that schematic, working out locations for signs, signage, and parking, and then this license agreement. So we've worked back and forth with the Harbor Commission, with the ferry company, and we went to the Planning Commission as well. And we drafted this with Raeder's help, drafted this ordinance, this agreement that indicates all the conditions that the ferry foundation will have to follow and adhere to. Their payment, the payment schedule, operation schedule, et cetera. Zoning Administrator Jeff and I are still working with the foundation to locate the best spots for sign locations and other landside issues that have to be addressed by April 15th according to this agreement. So we're still working with them on that. However, as we see it from Mr. Raeder's perspective and staff's perspective, if they meet all the conditions in this agreement, there's no reason for them not to operate. So I would recommend that council approves this agreement. Any comments, questions, or any thoughts from staff?
No, I read through the license agreement. There's a lot of work and detail that went into that. And it is good to see it finally come to what is a next to last approval, I guess. They do need to meet all of the conditions
Right.
that are set forth in the license, and the final details about signage need to be determined. But if those are all met, I think it's a great opportunity for the city and for them, so we should move forward.
And those items that they have to meet, those would just have to submit to staff, does not have to come back to council, it's just
Right.
coming to staff with those items.
Correct, and once we approve this license, it's up to you to say, you've got the green light, then go ahead. Okay?
Make a motion to approve and move forward. I'll second that.
Would you like a roll call on that?
I think so.
Mr. Cups?
Yep.
Leo?
Yes.
Johnston?
Yes.
And Maturkas?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Well, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very excited about it.
So are we. But there's a second part to this, our license ferry agreement, and that's really approval of the city's share of the dock installation. So in the agreement, what we essentially approved was a dock installation that's about $60,000, which essentially the ferry foundation will be responsible for. The Harbor Commission recommended upgrading that dock I think to using Trex material. So I think, and there's a few other things there that, like adding new cleats and stuff that would add some cost to the $60,000 quote. So we're recommending the council pick up that what Harbor Commission recommended was that extra $22,800 in the share, which would come out of the waterfront fund. If council doesn't approve the share, it just would be the dock as the ferry foundation originally presented to the Harbor Commission.
Well, but with the discussion that was had at the Harbor Commission, it's really a long-term investment. It will reduce maintenance costs over time. So I think it's just, I think it's a worthwhile investment short-term to reduce costs long-term, and we end up with a better dock.
I agree. And you'll notice in here that, Ferry Foundation did get a second quote from Nico Sullivan, because at that time we weren't sure if flotation docks could get onto our schedule. Nico Sullivan provided some quotes, but and it ended up being less than the flotation docking systems quote. However, FDS is more local, they're in Cedarville, Michigan. Nico is based out of Oklahoma, so that's, they couldn't guarantee any shipping costs or prices, and we're really not sure if the city's share of what's the reduced price would be, how much greater or less it would be than compared to the flotation dock system, because they didn't break down their quotes for what they had. So, and originally the Ferry Foundation, the Harbor Commission only asked for one quote, so normally we would go for two quotes, but since it was up to the Ferry Foundation to actually, present to the Harbor Commission their plans, we only asked for one quote at that time. So typically we would see two quotes for a project like this, and we do get two quotes, but the Harbor Commission only saw one. So I'd recommend going with the Harbor Commission, so knowing that the Ferry Foundation is going to pick up about 70% of the cost anyway. So.
Well, giving business to a Michigan company makes a lot of sense, and there's enough uncertainty in using the other contract. I agree, I think it's the right thing to do.
So then I'd recommend that the city approve, the council approve its share of $22,000, $800, and upgrades to the dock, in addition to what Ferry Company's going to pay.
Well,
Yes?
Does the city become an owner of this dock?
Yes.
the city becomes the owner of the dock.
I see.
That's part of the agreement, is that even though they're paying for most of the upgrades, they're essentially giving it to us, which is beneficial.
You're okay
I
with that?
understand that, thank you.
I would make a motion to approve the incremental expenses as laid out in the city manager's proposal.
Second.
Roll call?
Cups?
Yep.
Leo?
Yes.
Turkus?
Yes.
And Johnston.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Oh,
Did we miss someone? Sorry about
Yes.
that.
If they're putting all this money into the dock, are they still gonna have to pay rent on it?
There's-
They have to pay our harbor rules say that for any ferry agreement, they have to pay $1,000 for the agreement. So in the agreement, they're paying $1,000 for the license.
And that's an annual.
That's their annual.
That's for the license, but there'll be no monthly rent or nothing?
No,
They're not stopping there, they're just touching and going.
Yeah,
They'll be
so-
docking
Right.
with us.
Petoskey is charging a slip rate or their own rate, but we're not doing that
I
because we're
read
not
that in the
spending
paper,
money.
that's why I was curious if we were.
Just a $1,000 fee for the license.
That's good.
Okay.
I guess that's it. So we will move on to item C here, which is the Pennsylvania Avenue project bid selection. So this is for repaving the city section of Pennsylvania Avenue. It's not a huge section. We've been patching and repairing it for several years now, and it's about time we actually repave it. We had initially estimated that this was gonna cost about $130,000. Our lowest bid came at $159,000, so about $30,000 higher than we anticipated. I talked to Lucas about this, and there's a few reasons for why he believes the quotes came back higher. One is that it's really a unpredictable but essentially contractor's market. There's so many projects going on that municipalities and entities are actually, competing with each other to get companies to do the work, especially in springtime. And even in the autumn as well. So that's one reason. The second reason is because between 2008 and 2016, it was, we got much lower pricing. So our pricing, when we estimated these in 2017, 2018, we were estimating costs based on, that good deals that we were getting between 2008 and 2016 because a lot of contractors were struggling to stay afloat. So our estimate of what this was gonna cost was kind of based on, I wouldn't say antiquated, but just older trends. It didn't account for the new trend and contractors being able to charge a little more and account for projects. But as we see it, even with the $30,000 in addition as expense, we can't predict in a few years if this price for contractors will go down. But we know every year we'll have to pay spend $10,000, $15,000, in patching it. So in 2 years, we'd end up beating the cost anyway of this increase. So I guess it'd be better to just go with the bid that we recommended after staff reviewed it, which ended up being the lower bid by Elmer's, and do the project this spring, as opposed to waiting to see if we can get a lower bid in the next couple of years.
So we've actually been paying around $15,000 in patching work.
We did last year, yeah, chance.
Well, that kind of, in my mind, that kind of nails it. Pay to patch it and then have to do it anyway, you're just paying more to have it done, right? And we've got history with Elmer, so it makes sense to me. Let's get it done. Anyone else? I would make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that.
Cox,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
and Terkes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Final item is, item B is M119 landscaping. The Beckett and Raeder in-kind services that the city was awarded or received from Beckett and Raeder in the school for, back in last summer for the accidental cutting down of trees on city property for the school park project. As you know, we received $15,000 in cash from Beckett and Raeder in the school, and we also received $15,000 in in-kind services for design engineering services. I felt, and I think the tree board agrees, that we should use the money or these in-kind services for reasons that we received the money for, which was, they were chopping down trees accidentally because they were designing a park and doing park work. So what we want to do, we envision here is landscaping design and kind of park passive recreation design for this green space on M119 and Zoll here. As you know, this is an old satellite image, but we now have a tunnel and a spillway that goes through here, so we added quite a bit of concrete. And the idea of doing some landscaping here would soften the impact, that visual impact of this new spillway, but also we want to create, this is the entrance of our city, so we want to create a visually pleasing and welcoming entrance to our city. And finally, with the tunnel here, and being a potential pedestrian walkway, if MDOT gives us the green light for it to be a bike path as well as a pedestrian path, we're going to be bringing a lot more people to this area, to City Hall, to these other parks. And if we have some sort of landscape design and park design, passive recreation, we still have to do a lot of community input and do some public surveys and have public meetings about what we want to go there. But I think there's a real opportunity to make this underutilized green space something that would attract people and potentially add to our park system. It would get people down to City Hall, it connect people from Crusquet Escape Park all the way down to Jean Jardine. It just would be a more inviting area. So we're recommending is asking to use that $15,000 in services to go to Beckett and Raeder and ask them to do some sort of design there to make that a more, I guess, user-friendly and welcoming space. Right now, it's just a green space that has a spillway going through it. And of course, like I said, it'd be a long process. We'd go through a lot of public meetings. We'd come back to council. We have to go to planning commission with the site plan. So it's not, we're just gonna throw something together and just go with it. We also have a limit of $30,000 in our 2020 budget to spend on this. So we're not gonna do anything, that's crazy there. You're not going to be building massive, infrastructure or facilities, but something, whether it's, you have some sort of, more park, more benches, more, a chessboard table or a bocce ball, whatever it could be, whatever people want, and the residents want, the council feels is right, some light passive recreation there, I think would be beneficial.
Could you split that money up and use part of it in that area and then part of it up by the old pickleball courts to do that area?
And to do what?
Just to do the design. I mean, 15,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, so
Draw a
we are,
picture down here.
we are going to use a little bit, we're potentially using a little bit of that money from Beckett and Raeder to do a little drawing for pickleball courts, but that we would come in to the council for that for March 16th, because the state grants require some sort of, this site plan for where the pickleball courts are. So actually we were going to come back on March 16th to council with that request to use a fraction of money, which we understand would be under $1,000 after Andy talked with Beckett and Raeder, to do a little site plan for
Now, are they aware of this project? Have they
Not yet.
estimated how much they might,
Not
are you
yet.
thinking that you'd end up spending the entire amount?
I'm not sure,
Right.
depends on, I guess
We
part of
don't
that
know.
depends on how much, what we wanna do there. Is it just gonna be some landscaping, or do we wanna have, a deeper design for some sort of, park recreation area? So, I'm not sure, but I wanted to get council's feedback first. And if you guys wanna put a limit on how much we spend out of that money, then that's fine, I think I'm good with that. I wanna use the bulk of that money for this area.
Well, for out here, we should get a landscape plan sooner than later. We're gonna be in a mud pit here in the next week or two.
Right. I mean, it was always the intent to do something out there. I was just curious how much, if they're not aware of the project.
They do know about the pickleball.
Right.
Yeah, but we haven't approached them yet on this.
Were you thinking about just having them bid it first? And then applying it?
I mean, what I would do is I'd bring them in and tell them this is what we'd like to do. Maybe give them a larger view of what we're doing to make sure that it in fact ties into other potential. There's a path.
Yep.
There's a path to the downtown, make them understand what the vision is, and then see how much it would cost for that project.
So we can negotiate from there.
Exactly. If they see, more, business in the future, it's a great way to negotiate down on a given project, to show them that there's perhaps some future business with the city. Continuing it down as we look at the bike path and everything else, whether they participate or not, that's to be found out after we actually engage them. If what we're authorizing is moving forward with getting them into town, talking to them and getting a bid, I think absolutely we should do that. But without an actual project
Of course,
to
yeah.
approve.
Yeah. This is really to get the ball rolling, so just start, because I didn't want to go to Beckett and Raeder and say, can you guys do this, without knowing if the council would support it, so I would work that way first.
No, they couldn't make it.
We're already in March, so I'd say get going.
Yeah.
Just get vote on that. Yeah.
Okay, a motion, do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
And a second?
And the motion is to allow staff to contact Beckett and Raeder and engage with them on a project to come up with a plan for that green space as, with a vision of what we're trying to do in the city.
Cups,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
and Maturkas.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you guys, appreciate that. Just couple things from the city manager report. I don't have a whole lot. We did finally sign that lease with EJN Properties on State in Maine. You guys approved it several months ago. It was hard to get in contact with them, but we finally got in contact with them, and the DDA will be looking to soon, probably sometime this spring, install that sign or that kiosk there. I know Margo has been in contact with Sign Place Group. The Masonic Lodge is requesting to hold their annual breakfast in the park event at Tourist Park on the fourth Sunday of June, July, and August. They do this annually. Staff, we reviewed it. We've had no concerns with it. So I didn't imagine the council would have any concerns with that one. We're still hoping credit card and online payments will become a reality in early spring, April. We have the system for the new software installed. We're just making sure there's no kinks with it and trying to get familiar with it before we schedule the credit card and online bill payment company to come in and actually put that there. And then the pickleball grants. So Mr. Potter's been working on some pickleball grants. One of them requires that we hold a public hearing. We've been scheduled that public hearing for March 16th. That's to engage citizens, residents get their comments and their viewpoints on the area, the location we're suggesting, pickleball courts, et cetera. So we already do have two existing ones that are in pretty bad shape, the surfaces at least, so, and he would be replaced, new courts where the old ones exist. But Mr. Potter, I mean, he has all the answers on that.
Yeah, it's just, the state just requires a public meeting, and kind of like the waterways grant, this is kind of all done last minute. So, we have to have April 1 to complete the grant, so we're looking at two state grants and a couple of 501c3 grants. So, I don't know where it'll end up, but this is the start.
That's worth pursuing, certainly. Yeah, great.
That's really the major that I have from the city manager report, so. You guys have any other questions?
Well, then at this point, we'll go back to the deferred item, and that is the bills. I reviewed my section of bills, and they looked okay.
Mine did too. Pay the bills.
That's a motion. I'll second the motion. Pay the bills.
Bills are paid, motion carries.
John, for boards and commissions, Paul Kaplan for the board review.
Matt didn't leave anything with me, so. Was there a-
We need to get,
He had a conversation with me that he thought that he had expressed it to you to do today.
No, but if he talked to you about it, when's the next board review?
tomorrow.
Okay.
Paul, I can write up his application.
Paul Kaplan.
You know Paul Kaplan? You know Paul Kaplan?
Paul Kaplan and his wife own the store location on State Street north of Lake. I think it used to be a pizza place years ago.
On the left side?
Yes,
Heading out,
as you're headed downtown on the left. His wife, I think, occasionally operates a retail store in front. Paul has a small dentist's office in the rear of the store.
Okay.
He's not open all the time, but I believe he's primarily retired, but does open it for, he does work for veterans that need dental work.
Okay, and this is someone that talked to Matt, and
Yeah.
Matt was gonna put it forward. So then, barring any objections, I will follow up on that and nominate him for the board of review. In the nick of time.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I was not aware of that.
I thought the mayor. Sorry about that.
Yep. Anything else? Any other comments from the public? Yes?
I forgot to mention, our council will be hosting a Swiss steak dinner. I have tickets. It will be on March 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. Tickets are $12 for adults, $8 for children, 6 to 8, and any child 5 and under is free.
Where?
It'll be at Holy Childhood, Parish Hall.
For a second, I thought you were gonna pull out Tootsie Rolls, but